Click. Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor. The voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time. And SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love The Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friends are going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. And you know what that time means? It is Splash Pages, the comic book club powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. We have an awesome show scheduled for you today. And as always, Rich, the Velvet Joker, how's it going, my friend?
Great. Excited for our guest tonight, an old friend.
Oh, yeah. Such an awesome guest. And Drew, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Keep doing your thing, Leo.
Okay, so Rich, since this is your guest that you brought on, would you care to introduce him?
All right. Well, we all know there's a huge con in Connecticut called Terrificon, and we've got the head honcho, big fedora marketing, Mitch Hallock.
Hey, kids, how are you? Looking kind of crazy on the screen here, aren't you?
I can't. That was great.
Yeah. Well,
hi, Mitchie. How are you?
I'm good, Richie.
Great to hear. Tell us that we've got Terrificon after a year off of COVID. We've got the big Terrificon, the biggest con in all of Connecticut.
Never heard of it. Tell me more about this con that is terrific you speak of. Oh, yes, Rich. I am back on the road doing the job that God intended me to do. I've been going to comic book shops, video game shops, people that just thought of a comic book, and I'm telling them that on July 30th to August 1st, 2021, they need to be at Mohegan Sun for 3 days of Comic-Con fun, because Terrificon is back, baby.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So great to see you back, too. And, we absolutely love your con. And it really stands out from, a lot of the other cons. They say, let's get all these huge celebrities and everything, but they forget what it really means to be a comic con. And that's what I love about you. You have the celebrities, but you also focus big on the comics.
Yeah, no. And even the celebrities have to have some connection to comics or animation or something like that, because, I might be 54, even though I don't think last year's birthday counts because of the blip of COVID. I think I'm still 53. Actually, I think I'm about 7. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If it ain't comics, it ain't terrific. And if it ain't terrific, it ain't at my con. Okay, go to one of those other, whatever they call themselves. But Terrificon is for the people that enjoy this stuff, the people that enjoy comic books, that enjoy cartoons, that enjoy science fiction superhero movies. This con is for you.
Woo!
Okay, that's what keeps me going. That's what wakes me up. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink Deadly Grounds. What? But if I drank a coffee that was a Comic-Con, it would be Terrificon.
Oh my god!
So.
Yeah.
Tell us what are I keep on seeing the announcements, but I know you can't say who you're most excited.
No, I can say whatever, because this weekend I've had enough, because everyone keeps saying who's coming to the show, and yours truly does the website. Yours truly makes all the graphic little announcements and stuff, because being an art director, Leo, the pressures we're under. So I finally went nuts, stayed up all weekend and made every single guest that I could think of, and I'm putting them all up this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Tune in to Terrificon.com. Even though I don't even announce them on social media, boom, everybody's gonna be there.
Awesome.
Drops the mic.
Buddy, yeah. I even have the guests calling me up. They're like, "Hey man, how come you didn't announce me yet?" I go, "Hey man, there's 2 months to go. What am I going to talk about for 2 months? The weather? How to cut my lawn? Come on, man."
They want to rush you.
Oh my God. I know. Take it easy. It's me. Yeah, I know. I haven't seen that phrase since, the missus said, oh my God, it's Mitch Hallock. Yeah. And then she told me to go cut the lawn, and that was it. So
Nice. Kisses and hugs to Sharon. Kissing and hugs to Sharon.
I know. She's upstairs now. She just came down a minute ago. So what the hell are you doing now? I said, working.
The queen of Terrificon.
The queen. That's right. The queen of the nerds.
So you mentioned you do all the work, all the website, the graphic, and we know you have a huge background in art. What's the most difficult part of running a con?
Being the nut travel agent as well. I actually book all the flights.
Oh wow!
See, most conventions of this size, and I say this size because this isn't like 30 guys at a VFW hall.
Right.
This is a show that gets like 30,000 people. And most shows have a staff. They have a street team. They have people that go and do all this stuff. But Rich knows I'm like a one-man. I'm like OMAC, one-man Army Corps. I
He
don't.
is.
I do everything because I'm obsessive. I'm a micromanager. I'm like a control freak. So, yeah, I mean, the part I don't like is I'm not patient when it comes to book and travel, but I have to do it. So I'll call, Jane Smith and say, hey, what flight do you want to take from Los Angeles to Hartford? Well, I want to take a direct flight. Well, there's only one direct flight from Los Angeles to Hartford, Connecticut, and that's a JetBlue flight that leaves at 9:45 LA time and arrives here at 6:30 a.m. our time. So it's a red eye. And they're like, oh, God, is there anything else? I'm like, no. That just drives me nuts because here's another thing. Well, can you just drive me from Boston to New York? How far is that to the Mohegan Sun? On a map, it looks like it's only about, that much. But on I-95 or 91, and Rich could tell you this, and anybody who lives here, you could be on that highway for 2 hours or 50 hours. You don't know what's going to happen on the Connecticut highways around here. So I have to try to convince them, like, trust me, I live here for all my life. You don't want to land in New York and think you're going to get to the Mohegan Sun in 2 hours, because you want to talk about a gamble. That's the biggest gamble. So that's the worst part of my job. I hate booking the travel. But other than that, it's fun. It really is. So
now, Mitch, I know the story, but but a lot of people out there do not. How did this all get started? How did Terrificon originate? Where did it come from?
Where did it come from? Years ago, God bestowed on me his power. Well, one, like Leo said, I went to school for art and design, and then I got into marketing, and then I got into creative directing. And I've worked at a company that actually my first job was where Leo worked at one point. I was 5 years. I was the art director at USI Incorporated. And I started learning how to do trade shows there from the owner, Peter Anderson and George Giannakopoulos. They sent me every month around the country to a new city, New Orleans, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Every month I was doing conventions, and I learned the ins and outs of this stuff. So you marry that with graphic design, public relations, event building, event promotion, marketing, and yours truly learns how to do everything soup to nuts. And I was hired in 2010 to be the public relations person for a small show that started up here in Connecticut. And then in 2012, I took my hand at actually saying, you know what, I could organize and I could produce these things too. So I started doing comic conventions right here, and you were there, at the Trumbull Marriott, which is about 4 miles from where I live right now. We did a one-day show in August. Hopefully people show up, you make your money back, because it cost $8,000 to rent the place out for the weekend.
Right.
And we had 3,500 people show up for a place that was designed for 1,000 people. It's like a wedding reception area, and that just went crazy. And then next year, sophomore slump, let's see if we could do it again. 5,500 people show up, along with the police and the Trumbull Fire Marshal, who said, congratulations on your success. By the way, you can never come back here again. So that was fun. And then I had nowhere to go. And then I looked around and I started doing a bigger show at the Bridgeport Harbor Yard Arena, 3 days, full of fun. And we got 13,000 people there, and the line went around the building and down the street. And then I went to Mohegan Sun in 2015, and Terrificon was born. You were there. And the name is so simple because the word terrific ends with a C. And I'm sitting there trying to think of a name. It was going to be called Connecticut's Coolest Con at one point. And there's even a picture of me with Haley Atwell, Peggy Carter from Captain America, up at the Boston Comic Con. And I have a shirt on, and it's got Captain Terrificon on it, but at that time it was called Captain Cool Con. And she's pointing to it, and she's doing a thumbs up. And I said, oh, look at that. And it says Connecticut's Coolest Con. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't sound right, So I sat there and I go, oh, it's terrific. Wait a minute. Let's put the O-N. So It's Terrificon was born. And that year, 2015, all the T-shirts were made and the signs went up. And here we are, what is that, 6 years later, doing the sixth show or the seventh show, depending on your pandemic counting.
Right.
And that's it. And, 20, 30,000 people show up now. So it's been fun. It's been a fun run.
And now you did you also spin off, because that wasn't enough for you.
No.
It wasn't enough doing all that.
No.
And started a video game convention as well.
Yeah, because I had all these extra rooms upstairs, and you know me being cheap as could be, I'm not paying for empty rooms. So I said, what could we do? And I have 2 boys, and they said, oh, Dad, everybody loves video games. I'm like, you mean like Pac-Man and Space Invaders? Or like, what the hell is that? So we got Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and all that jazz. And then I started noticing that the line to the video game room was longer than the line for some of the actors and the artists downstairs. And I'm like, what is this all about? And I went upstairs, and sure enough, people were doing Guitar Hero and everything. I'm like, why don't we do a convention about video games?
Genius.
In 2017. So that started CT GamerCon, and that's going on to its 4th show this September because it had to be stopped and started a couple times because of the pandemic. And then I'm going to let you in on a secret. If there was no COVID last year, and we all wish there wasn't, Uncle Mitchie was going to do a 3rd show in the fall that was in the planning stages.
Oh, wow.
Well, you and I talked behind the scenes about a possible Monster Con. Was that it?
It was going to be a horror Monster Con. So
Dude.
It would have been video games, comic books, and then horror in the fall. So we'll see what's going to happen now. Because
amazing.
Move things around. So.
That would be awesome because we lost the huge con in Worcester.
Yeah, Rock and Shock, which I've gone to that show for years. I think it was like 13, 14 years that thing ran.
Yeah.
And then it just ended. I was like, well, what happened with that? So I don't know. So anyway, yeah, so I got to get back to work on doing another show. And I even might do a 4th show because I'm crazy, but let's see how it all balances out.
Well, Facebook user is asking, will there be a con this year? Yes.
Yes, July 30th to August 1st. Where's my flyers? Where is it? They're here somewhere.
The man's of Robert Rodriguez of putting together cons. One-man show.
Yeah. Terrificon. See?
One-man gang.
Yep.
One-man band. That's right. Yes, there's going to be a show. You can buy your tickets right now, Ticketmaster.com, or go to your favorite comic book shop like BoomTube, Cave Comics, or Richie's Comic Cabana in Waterbury, Connecticut. So
awesome. Do you got them at Sarge's as well?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have them at Sarge's as well?
You know what? I was at Sarge's and I was talking to the owner, Joe Massimino, and I didn't have any on me, so I got to go back to Sarge's. So I'll probably do that in a week or so and drop him off some tickets there. Save money. Don't pay those Ticketmaster. I don't make money off of Ticketmaster. People get mad. I go, look, that ain't me. That's going to them. So I don't want to. That's money you could buy an action figure with or a comic book. I get it, kids. You know?
Exactly. Now, Drew, did you have any questions? You don't have the personal connection to Mitch that we do, but you have been to the con.
Yeah, it's funny because I think I've been there since 2015, and I've seen Mitch running around. He's got the hat on, running around, and I was like, that man is on a mission to make everybody here happy, and by God, he's doing a great job. And I've met so many great comic book greats at Terrificon. I met so many wonderful actors. I had one of my favorite flabbergasted moments at Terrificon when I ran into the actress who plays Nisa Al Ghul. I think it's Katrina
Law.
Yeah. She spoke to me once, and I've never been more flabbergasted. I was like, whoa, you are gorgeous. Holy crap.
She is. Oh, Katrina Law. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's on a new show now. What is it, CSI something? I can't.
Yeah.
No, she's fantastic. Honestly, she's one of my favorite guests we ever had. Loves the fans. It gets into it. I mean, she was dancing with the giant Hulkbuster. We got video of that. Like thousands of people watched it. She's amazing.
Yeah. And again, for me, I also completely agree with what Leo was saying and what Rich, I love that it feels like an old Comic-Con.
Yeah.
When it was about comics, when it wasn't just everything overblown and saturated to the point of just exhaustion. It's small, it's intimate. You can have a conversation with the creator.
Yeah.
And you really get to talk to them. I mean, don't get me wrong, if there's a line, obviously, common sense. But some of the best conversations I've had were with people I never thought I'd actually get to meet. I mean, I remember one time I met Dan Slott, and I had like this huge stack of books, and he blew through every one of them.
Oh yeah.
And I was dressed as Kevin Smith's onomatopoeia. And so I'm just walking around, and he keeps, every time I saw him, I was like, did you see Kevin? because and I'm like, I
that
know.
was the year. No, that was the year Kevin Smith was there. I had Kevin Smith on Saturday night, so maybe he thought, him.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, again, I've never had a complaint. I've never been some cons I went to where the first year was great, and then it's kind of like summer camp. The second year,
yeah.
And Terrificon has always been awesome. And me and a few of my friends, we always like going. And it also helps it's in Mohegan Sun.
Yeah.
Although I'm glad that at the con, the cigarette smoke doesn't.
You know what? You don't have to worry about that, because one of the benefits, if there is for COVID, is they stop smoking in the casino.
There you go.
Because you can't smoke if you had a mask on. So we just went up there 2 weeks ago, Friday, to check it all out, because I haven't been there in a while either.
Right.
And I walked out and I go, hey, man, something's different. Oh, yeah, there's no smoke. There's never any smoking in the expo center, so that's never been a concern. But if you went walking towards some of the gaming areas, there were certain areas that smoked, so you got that smoke smell. But that's gone there right now. So
yeah. And it was always so funny. Like I've told Rich and Leo this, but it was always so funny because I remember one time me and my girlfriend were walking by and we just see Jerry Ordway. And like, again, I know who Jerry Ordway is because I've met him a bunch of times, and he's a great, really personable person. And this family just asked him to take a photo.
Yeah.
And he just takes the photo and they're like, okay, thank you. And just keeps walking. And I, like, my nerd brain is like, but that's Jerry Ordway. Do you guys get it? Do you know the things he's done? Have you read his work? Have you seen it? Like, you should be shaking his hand. Like, it was the same. Guys, you know my story about when I saw Jim Starlin eating my breakfast, and someone asked who he was, and he was like, "Oh, I created Thanos." And someone's like, "Oh," they did a face like, "Oh, that's cute." And then some part of it was like, "That person has no idea who the hell they're talking." about.
No, they don't know who it is.
And it's just it's so funny when I guess if you want to call it the rubes. They don't know, but it's like
normal people, the norms.
But the con people,
I was going to say that I like it, the fact, because we don't know who's going to drop in. I'm going to let you in some behind the scenes secrets of Terrificon. The first year was 2015, and it didn't work out, but Alice Cooper was in the building because he was opening for what was Tommy Lee's band's name? Tommy Lee.
Motley Crue.
Motley Crue. Yeah.
He was opening for Motley Crue. They were playing their Sunday night, and Alice Cooper's a humongous comic book fan, and he's even at comic, and he's a big Neil Adams fan too. So he was there because he also likes golf. So he came early for the show, but he went to go play golf, and then he came back and he said, "Hey, where are all those people going?" Because we had like 20,000 people, and he's like, "Oh, this comic book show? Oh, can I come down?" We're like, "Can you? Sure." So he had called that morning, and they said, "Hey, keep it under your hats. Alice Cooper's coming. He's going to set up in the back, but it's going to be a surprise for fans." So we got it, but somebody let the word out, and it got on social media, and it blew up, and then it became a big deal because people started like, "Oh, here's an Alice Cooper comic book. I'm going to charge you like $90 now because I heard he's coming." So he doesn't like, he likes his fans. He doesn't like when people take advantage of them. So it got out, and his manager called and said Alice was, he doesn't like people price gouging or whatever. So because of that, he said, "Well, how many people are lined up waiting for me?" And we said, "Oh, there's like 60 people waiting in line to meet Alice Cooper." And he's like, "I don't want to go down now because, it is what it is." Yeah. He got picked up. But he counted up how many people were there. And then he got 8x10 color photos, and he wrote, "Best wishes, Alice Cooper," to each one of them. And he handed them out to each one of the people that were waiting to see him for free. And that just happened. And then the other thing is Tommy Lee is a big, tall dude. So there was somebody walking through the show wearing a mask, like a Bane, from Batman. And I was like, "Oh, what's up with that guy? Why is he seems to have like a bodyguard?" I thought it was a cosplayer. No, it was Tommy Lee walking through the show because he just liked comics and stuff, but no one knew he was there. I did because I asked the security guys what was up, and they told me he was there. And Brian Posehn, he was at our show a couple years ago.
Great.
He shows up and he's doing a comedy show at not the Treehouse. I can't think of the place. It's the comedy club that's over there. But anyway, Comics, COMIX.
Right.
And he's there buying Legos and toys for his kids before he was going to do his signing because he was doing Deadpool comics at the time. So it's fun to watch people to shop in there, and it's like, it's just very surreal. It's like you're at the Star Wars bar. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know who's going to come walking through the door. Han and Chewie could come walking in for all you know.
Absolutely. And just like one of the users said, like, that's how I met Brian. And that's what I love is you see these guests, like there's some that I've seen at Comic-Con every year, but then you just get these people, like, again, I never, me personally as a fan, I was like, I never thought I'd ever meet like Brian Augustin. And I was like,
he was there. Yeah.
Yeah. I spent like 10 minutes talking to him about Gotham by Gaslight, the issue he did for Hellboy. And it was so great because I like, personally speaking, and I'm sure guys, you can back me up on this. It's just nice to talk to them and you see them as people. Yeah. It's very easy in comics to look at them and they're your heroes. They're these gods of literature and books. They mold the characters and do bold things and whatnot. Like they're nerdy rock stars in some way. And when you get to talk to them and you say, I love your work, this thing really spoke to me, all that things, you're like, again, then you see them eating pizza or going out to a bathroom break or smoking a cigarette. You're like, they're just like you, dude. Like,
oh, I know. I was Brian Azzarello was in the Tom's Urban Bar watching the Chicago Cubs game or something. So and I know who he was because I run the show, but other people didn't. And he's just sitting there talking baseball with other dudes at the bar. Right. And he's writing down the box scores and whatever like that. So I go up to him, I'm talking about, and he's like, "Oh, I'm trying to watch. I got to watch this game." He was like so into it. I'm like, "This is so weird." There's Brian Azzarello, and that Batman Damned book had just come out, and he was like a big deal, but he's just sitting there drinking a beer, watching the Cubs game. I'm like, this is kind of weird. I was just gonna say, you just made me think of, it wasn't Chaz Palminteri, because we do get guests that you normally don't see at a comic book show because they find out about it and they like the Mohegan Sun. So next thing you know, they're like, here's Chaz Palminteri from Bronx Tale, Okay. And he just and for goodness sakes, I couldn't think of one of the people you just mentioned. About people just walking up to you and talking. Like Dan Slott was there, and he loved the fact that we had built a custom Spider-Mobile out of a dune buggy. And he was just so into it. He's like, I got to get in it. So he's inside of it, and Graham Nolan, and they're all posting pictures on their social media of them like little kids inside the Spider-Mobile. Then we had a Batman climbing wall we did one year just for fun, and you just took the rope and you pretended to be Adam West climbing up a wall. And the next thing I see Mike Cutlitz from The Walking Dead, he's posting it on his social media, and the guests are having just as much fun as the fans. Because, I tell people it's because they're pumping oxygen into the building and everyone's just, high as a kite. But no, that's not true. But everybody just seems to have a great time. Like, it's calm, it's relaxed. It's not like, hurry up, you got 10 minutes to get an autograph. Come on, next. It's not an assembly line type of convention. It's not that at all. It's a very, John Wesley Shipp said he grew up, I think his dad's a minister, and he used to do like a lot of church bazaars and carnivals and such. He said that he always likes the vibe of the show that's in the room because it's kind of got that energy, like a neighborhood barbecue or a backyard event, like at your local school or the PTA or the little league game, and everybody knows each other and everyone's just kind of, hairs down and talking to each other and has a good time and such. So for 3 days, it's like a big family reunion. So.
Hey, Mitch, you mentioned John Wesley Shipp. Now, I remember he was at the Trumbull convention you did, and he did not have a show at the time. This was years after the 90s Flash had ended. And you called him up. And soon his career was back on track.
Yeah, he showed up, and he was doing a sci-fi channel movie nearby. And he's called. He said, hey, would you like to have me as a guest? And I go, oh, my God, The Flash. And like you said, it hadn't been on in like 20-something years or whatewe. And the new Flash hadn't started yet. So he was there, and oh my God, The Flash is here. And to us, it was like, rock star. And we were doing a skit on the stage because we do these little comedy bits, and we were doing like Superman being knocked out by a kryptonite cocktail. We took like a glowing ice cube that was green, and we put it inside water. We made the local DJ, the Wigmaster, drink it and become like a Superman. And the guy that played Superman, his name is Leo, coincidentally. He was from a show called Comic Book Men. So he's got the Superman suit on. He's supposed to jump through the crowd and save the day, but he had to go to the men's room. And when you're in that Superman leotard, it's hard to take everything out to go take a leak. So we're doing the skit, and I didn't know he left. So we're up on stage, and we're like, is there a Man of Steel in the house that's going to come and save the day? And we're looking at the crowd, and there's no Superman in the crowd. And the audience is looking at us, and I'm leaning over to the Wigmaster and go, what do we do? He goes, just keep it going. It's all part of the show. They don't know something's wrong. I go, okay. So we're up there stalling, and Wigmaster's pointing to somebody in the crowd. That guy's got a Superman shirt, and this poor guy's like, who, me? Like, get up here. So we're doing stuff. John Shipp is off to the side, and he sees everything going on, and I'm like, oh, is there any superheroes in the... I'm the fastest man alive. So he jumped up on stage to help us out a little bit, and finally Superman comes running in from the bathroom. I'm sorry, I had to go take a leak, but get up here now. So he did the whole thing, and he saved the day. But it's that kind of little weird comedy vaudeville stuff that happens behind the scenes at the show too. That happen. It just, it just adds to the I don't know what you want to call it, the hometown feel.
Yeah.
Show. Even though there's 30,000 people, it still feels like there's only 10 people,
Well, you say there's 30,000 people there.
Yeah.
What I love about your con is it's so easily manageable. You have the nice map in your book, and it's you get cons that they stuff so many vendors in there, and you're in a bottle of pickles. You're shoulder to shoulder, doing a little shuffle throughout the whole thing.
No.
This, you have a ton of vendors, ton of guests, but it's such a large space that there's room to breathe.
I remember I brought my kids. They're old. They're grown up now, but when they were little, like 9 and 7, I used to bring them to New York to shows. And I'll always remember my son Spencer. He never went to another convention after this. When you're 9 years old, you're like butt height. You know what I mean? And when you're jammed with a lot of people, all you see is people's butts in your face, and it's not the best experience as a kid. And I remember he was so like freaked out. You could just see it in his eyes. He was like, this is too much. I'm being overwhelmed. And there's too many people, and they're pushing and they're shoving, and it's just like that. And there was a Deadpool guy that was screaming and carrying on, kind of like the CT Joker of the day. And it was just too freaking scary. He was like, I never want to do this again. And I always remembered that, because I mean, I can't enjoy myself if I'm looking down at my son who's got terror in his eyes. So you're right. I keep the aisles bigger than they have to be. I make sure everybody's spread out. I mean, we got 350,000 square feet there. So it's like, you don't need to be on top of each other. Okay. Let's space this out. Let's stage the panels so they're not on top of each other. They move things around. So before social distancing became a thing, I already had like built it in. So like, let's give some elbow room here. Let's give some breathing space. I don't want to get squished.
And there were two other great moments I remember from Terrificon. One was the year that you were supposed to have Adam West. He unfortunately passed.
I had 2 months. Before the show.
Yeah, I know. My girlfriend was devastated because I'd met him at a previous con, and she was really looking forward to meeting him. And you had the thing where you had his banner and you had the fans.
Oh, everybody signed it. Yeah,
signed it, and that was, to me, was just such a wonderful tribute. And then funny, another Batman thing was there was a panel, I think it was the last time I went, which was 2019, and Denny O'Neil was there, and he did it was him and a couple other people
about Robin.
Yes. And I don't normally sit at panels. Rich can tell you that I'm usually the guy with a suitcase full of comics, lugging around a boulder, trying to get everything in there signed, which I do pretty well for. But I needed a break, so we decided to sit at a panel. I met Denny a few times, and he was always wonderful. He was kind of like that grandfather you want to visit.
Yeah.
And I remember at the panel, he was talking about Robin, and he looked to his right, looked to his left, was like, are there any Warner Brothers representatives in the audience? Yeah. And we all laughed, and he's like, he just started cursing.
Yeah, he let loose.
Right.
I saw that.
He did. And my girlfriend looked at me and was like, well, Grandpa Denny is amazing. Yeah. And we need to say more of this. And he just went on for like 10 minutes of just cursing out these Warner Brothers executives who kept making these horrible suggestions.
And the funnier thing is Starlin was there. Starlin's the one that wrote the story, Death in the Family, where they killed off Robin. Had to call the 900 number or whatever and vote on it. And Starlin ends up getting fired because the Warner Brother people were like, what do you mean you killed Robin? We got him on kids' pajamas and lunch boxes. What's going on over there? And then they called Denny O'Neil, and Denny's like, oh, yeah, well, Starlin, we got to get rid of him. And Starlin's like, that's why I got fired? He's like, yeah. He goes, well, thanks a lot, man. He didn't know that it was Denny just didn't want to take the rap for it and just kind of pointed the fingers at Jim Starlin. But and that's the great panel where he says, I hate that kid. I hated Robin. I couldn't wait to kill him. It was always so stupid. There's Batman dressed in gray and black, disappearing in the night, and here's a kid in a bright red suit and a yellow cape. It's like, what the hell kind of sidekick is that? And you know what's so great about this? If it wasn't for Leo, and I've said this before, because I never get to see the panels. I come up with the ideas for the panels and grab the guests and just put them together.
Mm-hmm.
I never get to see it because I'm running around the show like a chicken with his head cut off. But I get to watch all these videos on YouTube afterwards, and I'm like, oh, this is what my show was like. It's like going to a wedding and you don't get to see anything, and at the end of it they give you the video like, oh, that's what it looked like, and oh, that's what Grandma Moses looked like when she was cutting the cake and all that stuff. So it's really one of those things that if it wasn't for the dorkening and all Leo's stuff over the years too, not just one or two, you recorded some great moments. I think it was the Star Wars days today, the real Star Wars day, May 25th.
Yeah.
We had Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin in his only interview about Star Wars because he hates it, but he did it for me because I guilted him into it. And we had Charles Lippincott, who was Lucasfilm's director of marketing back in the day. And they hadn't been together in like 40 years because they got together in San Diego Comic-Con in 1976 and talked about this new movie that was coming out called Star Wars, and Mark Hamill was in there. And that's the last time that Roy and Howard were together with Charlie. I didn't even know Lippincott was coming to the show because he lived up in Vermont and his health was kind of bad. So there's the panel. There's Chaykin. There's Roy Thomas. And I see this other gentleman coming up to the stage, and he's wearing this yellow Star Wars shirt that looks like the original 1976 promotional thing with the triangle with Ralph McQuarrie. I go, who's that guy? And my friend, Ryder Wyndham, who's the writer, he says, oh, that's Charles Lippincott. I go, wait, the guy from Lucasfilm, like Lucas's right-hand man? Yeah. What's he doing here? Oh, he wanted to come down for the panel. And that's what it's like. It's like out of nowhere, you got this like legendary marketing guy who helped create Star Wars. And he just showed up and he did the panel for an hour and he disappeared. Unfortunately, passed away last year, but it was one of those historic moments if you're a Star Wars guy that you never saw anywhere else. And thank goodness that was all filmed and stuff. You can go Google it and YouTube it. It's up there. So it's fun. I mean, trust me, I like doing the show and, you know, as a career, and it makes me money, but as a fan who loves all this stuff, this is like iconic moments, you know. I'm like, oh my God, I got to hear Denny O'Neil swear about Robin. I got to see the guy who made Star Wars marketing, you know. So,
it was so good.
You never know what's going to happen. I made grown men cry at the Batman tribute. You mentioned when Adam West passed away. If you were at the show I'm thinking of, it was in March. It was up north in Massachusetts. It was one of Gary Summers' shows.
Right.
And that's where Adam and Burt Ward were there. And I drove up there and they both filmed commercials promoting their Terrificon appearance. And Adam West is hysterical. I mean, I got video still on my phone where he's like, do you want me to do it with my pants on or off? I'm like, whoa. So we got all this footage. And then he was holding up the Terrificon sign. He's like, hi, who am I? And he's looking at he's just doing all this shtick. And he does this great take where he goes, I'm Adam West and I'm coming in. I'll see you this August at Terrificon in Connecticut. Be there. And, you know, it's just a 10-second spot. So we do this tribute for Adam West with Burt Ward, Lee Merriweather, and we showed the 66 movie. So we did this whole music number, and Rich, you remember it too. We had this whole tribute to Batman. We had cosplayers and all that stuff. And we had Bob DeSimone, who dresses up as the 66 Batman, singing songs as if he was, you know, if Batman was a lounge singer in Vegas, you know. So at the very end of it, before we showed the movie, we had the hotline, the little bat phone. I have one here somewhere. And it lit up. And I go, wait a second, before we start the movie, there's a special message coming in. And I pick up the phone and I'm like, hello? Oh my. Okay, sure. Hold on. And I go, can we put this on for everyone to see? And the lights go down. I got goosebumps telling you about it. And all of a sudden there's Adam West comes up on the screen, and it's the video that I had filmed. He's like, hey, everybody at Terrificon, this is your old pal Adam West, and I will see you at Terrificon, you know, be there. And then I just faded to black. And that's it. And the whole, you could hear a pin drop. And I said, okay, we're going to take a break before we show the movie, get some popcorn. The lights came up. Literally, I saw grown men in the back sobbing their eyes out. Women were crying because that was their hero. That's the last time they got to see him. And here he will. And I said, Adam West, a man of his word, he said he'd see you. And here he is at Terrificon in one way or another. Boom. It was insane. And that's one of those moments that, like I said, I've never seen anywhere else. And I was at the show. And even if I didn't own the show, I would have been like, this is the greatest comic convention of the world, So
totally.
Little behind the scenes highlights here. So, go to Terrificon. You'll see. We've had people get married. We've had people get engaged at the show. I haven't had somebody give birth at the show, but maybe this summer. You never know.
Okay, then. Well, then.
Yeah.
Come to Terrificon.
Show up a few years ago.
Pregnant people come to Terrificon.
Showed up.
Well, no. Hold on. The people that got engaged were coming to spend their anniversary at the show, and it's kind of weird. I'm like, oh my, this is going to be like a yearly thing. Like, you can make a movie about how they meet, they get engaged, they get married at the show, they come with their kids, and it becomes, family affair or something like that.
There you go.
Yeah. Crazy, man. It's crazy. That's it. I'm done. I'm
okay.
Okay.
Cool. Before we get into talking about Loki, real quick, what are you reading nowadays, Mitch? Is there any book that you're eager to tell people about?
I have stacks, and literally stacks. I have like 30,000 comics here in the lair, and it's kind of scary. But every Wednesday, I'm getting my new books at Cave Comics. So whatever new stuff's coming out, I'm grabbing it and reading it. Mostly Marvel. I mean, because I'm friends with Jerry Ordway, I'll grab a DC book. If I do, though, it's kind of a Batman book because
of course
he's kind of like a Marvel guy in a weird way. But anything, you name it. I mean, during the lockdown, I have like 60 omnibuses over here that have been like taking up a lot of floor space and making my house sink. So I started rereading everything from Werewolf by Night to X-Men to Solomon Kane, you name it. I'm reading it. I even got like lame-o stuff like a Spidey Super Stories right over here. I mean, I'm reading everything, okay? Awesome. Everything. It's in my blood, buddy.
I tell you, we mentioned Sarge's earlier. Joe is such an awesome dude. Throughout the pandemic, he was dropping off my books to my front door.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's service with a smile. You don't get that.
No, totally not.
No.
What about you, Drew? You reading anything new this week other than
well, I just finished reading G.F. Shaw and Donny Cates, who last time I was there was at the show with Ryan Stegman because they were still celebrating their I believe it was Venom, and then they were just starting their Carnage run, their Carnage event, and they were great. I just finished reading Crossover, and that was such a great, very meta book. And it's funny because I read half of it, and then I forgot because I'm very like that. I'll get caught up in something. I was like, oh yeah, I never finished that, and I just read it yesterday, and I was like, man, we need more books like this. You
got to bring it to the show to have Donnie sign it because he's coming to Terrificon this July 30th to August 1st. So
boom, extra plug there, kids. Yeah, just that's. Honestly, I've just been rereading things. I think right now I finally got on the Immortal Hulk bandwagon, and that's just that is just kicking my butt because I love my Marvel, but I really do enjoy when they get a little horror about it. And Immortal Hulk has been nothing but just great horror-inspired moments. I'm enjoying it thoroughly, and I'm also I'm reading that and finally reading Preacher at the same time, so I go from one extreme to the other. So. By then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch something to decompress because full of a lot of comic weirdness.
I think Immortal just finished.
Oh no, it's issue 50's coming out. They solicited it, and that's it.
It's gonna be big.
Wrapping it up.
Yeah, there was a new Hulk comic that came out.
Time of Monsters.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was I wrote about it enough for Screen Rant, and oh my god, it was beautiful. I just I'm telling you, again, when Marvel, I've always been more Marvel than DC guy, although I do agree with Mitch. I've always been a Batman fan. And the Joker, I gotta give Rich, I gotta give you credit there. But oh my god, when it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, what about you, Rich?
Well, besides reading Loki, obviously for tonight, I recently went through some of my old books, and I pulled out, because I didn't even realize I had it, a 1978 one-shot of The Creeper.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, our good friend Justin's favorite character.
Indeed, it is. Was that a Ditko, or was that a Ditko issue, or is that something else?
I don't know.
One of the weirdest looking characters in the comic book history with the orange hair or the green. It's just a mess. It's crazy.
When I finally realized that he did Squirrel Girl, I'm like, and then I saw the original designs. I was like, thank God we modified this, because this is terrifying.
If only I got a chance to talk to Moore before he slammed the door in our face.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Did you post that on like your social media?
That was John Cimino posted that the day Mr. Ditko passed away, and then he took it down because people were like, "What are you bothering that old man for, you little jerk?" So, what happened? We didn't know he was going to be there. I've told this story. I had written him and asked him to come to Terrificon, and he wrote back to me in days, and I said no, thank you. I don't talk about the past. I'm glad people enjoy my work, but I have no desire to talk about it. And he signed it with his address. And we were in New York at the Big Apple Con, my Carbo show, and we were bored. And I said, hey, let's go to Ditko's studio. It's right here, 400 Broadway. He's not there. That's his office. Yeah, whatever. We're here. So we did this epic journey. It was me and Kenny Lawrence, who ran Super Mega Fest, and our friend Frank. And we walked up Broadway, and we found the building. And we went there, and you know how they have like everybody listed on the what floor? It says S. Ditko, 7th floor. Well, okay, we'll go. And we went in the elevator, and we got up, and the doors open, and there it is, S. Ditko on a door. And I'm like, well, there's his studio, there's his office. Oh, and we're all taking pictures in front of it, and we're all like, hey, thumbs up, And I had my phone, and Cimino goes, hey, let's film a skit. Like, what would we do if Ditko was here? We're like, yeah, okay. So he goes, hi, I'm John, and I'm in front of legendary artist Steve Ditko. Let's see if he's home. And he knocks on the door. All of a sudden, the door swings open, and there's Steve Ditko standing right there. And I'm like, ah! And I dropped the phone. It looks like Bigfoot showed up. You see, it's all jittery and stuff. And Cimino's like, ah! And he sees us there, and he slammed the door right in our face, and that was the end of that. But we were like,
greatness.
That just happened? Yes, it did.
Legendary.
Only I had the chance to talk to him.
Hey, listen, you got your door slammed in the face by Steve Ditko. I mean,
some people... he was a feisty guy. He really gave that door some heft when that thing slammed. It was like, yeah. Now I know what it feels like to be a door-to-door salesman.
Seriously, bam,
bam, wham, bam.
Now, Mitch, did you ever have a negative? Any of your guests ever give you a negative feeling, or you just had enough of them? They were a little bit of a pain in the butt, or anything you could share. Let's put it that way.
No, I'm trying to think. Negative? No. I remember we met Wally Wood as a kid at my first comic book show in New Haven, and I was kind of an ass to him. And then I felt bad because he killed himself not too long after that, and I was like, oh no. And my friend gave me crap for years, like, you insulted the poor man, and that's why he ended up doing what he did. It was your fault. So. I lived with that, for years until I talked to Mike Zeck, who was a studio assistant for him. He goes, oh, no, it wasn't your fault. Wally, no, that wasn't you. He used to drink a lot, and he was kind of a gun nut. You had nothing to do with it. Don't worry about it. It's like, woof, Catholic guilt is over now, boy. I'll tell you.
Oh, my God.
Jenkins, you know that story. He yelled at me when I was trying to get advice from him in the 90s. And just called me. He called me a not so nice name. And then I
sounds like Howard.
Yeah. He's like, get away from me, he called me a name of a person who would do something for money.
Oh, okay.
He said, are you here to be an artist, or are you here just to make money? I said, I'm just here to make money. He's like, well, I don't talk to people like that. You're nothing but a whore. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, get out of here, whore. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And then I said, what are you doing here? So I'm selling my new comic book. Would you like a copy? I'll autograph it. I go, how much is it? He goes, $3. I go, oh, so you're a $3 whore.
Boom!
And he went nuts. And then years later, I had to interview him, and it was in Baltimore Comic Con for an Indiana Jones podcast. And it was Klaus Janson, Walt and Louise Simonson, and Howard. And they were all there, and I sat down. I got my mic out and all that, and I sat there quietly. And I said, you don't remember me, do you? He goes, no, why should I? And I said, 1992, blah, blah, blah. And I walked up to you with my portfolio and I was asking you all these questions and you called me a whore. Oh my God, I did? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't remember it. He goes, wait, you wasted all these years dwelling on that and being mad about it? I said, yeah, I didn't go into comics after that because I gave up. Oh my God, really? Because of what I said? I go, yeah. He goes, oh, geez, I feel so bad. He goes, let me buy you breakfast. I'm like, no, that's okay. We're good. So I've used that card against him quite some time.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've seen him at a few of your cons. So I was like, now I know why he keeps coming back. He's got to make back that $3.
No, we get along well now. Funny thing is, my wife, at the time she was my girlfriend, she said something back to him when he called me a name. She called him a name right back.
Right.
And there they are hanging out after the show's over 2 years ago at the one of the bars up there, the Lansdowne. And they're sitting there having a drink and she's laughing and they're talking. I go, don't you remember the guy that you called an a-hole? She's like, yeah, what about him? I go, he's sitting right next to you.
Right there.
This guy? Yeah. Oh, he's so sweet. I go, whatever.
Man.
Things happen.
It's just so funny because I had a similar moment, and Leo and Rich, you know this story. How I always felt like I kept killing people I kept not seeing. Like I was at New York, and I saw Steve Dillon there, and I'm a huge Punisher fan, and I didn't bring anything, and I just thought, he'll be there.
No, he died. First appendix. Like days later, I was there. I saw him. He was at the Hero Initiative booth.
Right, exactly.
He didn't look that well. I was like, wow, is he okay? And they go, yeah, he's okay. He looked kind of pale. It was on a Sunday, and I was like, oh, and he died like that Tuesday. I'm like, what happened?
Exactly.
The guy? Yeah.
And the same thing happened. I was going to an event in the city, and I was passing St. Mark's. Yeah. And I had a friend who told me about Darwin Cook was going to be there, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Darwin Cook. Like,
no.
Yeah. And I went to the party because I was like, I'm going to support my friend. Darwin will be at other events. He's a young, hip dude. He's got a lot in him. And then, a couple months later, he dies, and I just said to myself, like, "That's it.
It's you, man. Don't come near me at the show for Christ."
Exactly. Like now, I see. Let's see. I ruined it, guys. I'm just anytime.
No,
that's why
I had that happen to Herb Trimp or Trimpy.
Oh,
Our East Coast Comic Con. He was there. I spoke to him on the Sunday, and I said, "Hey, you coming to my show?" "Oh yeah, maybe I'll get lucky at the casino." We're laughing about it. That was Sunday. He got up, I think the next day, Monday, went for a jog. He was only 75, had a massive heart attack, and was dead. I was like, what are you talking about? I just saw the guy yesterday, So, I hear you on that stuff. Stuff happens.
Yeah. So, and the same thing, like I was at that East Coast where George Perez was supposed to be there with Marv Wolfman, and he had his attack. And
when he got off the plane. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so crazy because I had Rich, have you seen this photo? Like I had that original Teen Titans, the 80s style, and I the goal was we were going to meet Marv and George because what better reward than that? Yeah. And my girlfriend was Wonder Girl for that, and she was so excited because she loved the character and she wanted. And we met Marv, and it was still great. But I've met George before, and he's such a wonderfully charming.
Funny He was at the Bridgeport show I did, and he got there an hour before the show, and he stayed there until everybody got an autograph. He didn't leave. It's like the show ended at 7. He was there till like 8, making sure every fan that was in line got an autograph or a sketch or whatever you wanted. So there's not a lot of guys like George Perez. Ordway's like that too. Ordway will stay there till 3 a.m. to make sure everybody gets a drawing or an autograph.
And I remember when he was doing his final tour, he was supposed to come to Terrificon.
He was, And then,
he had to pull out. And I was just like, oh, man. And every time I keep seeing, like, I'm part of a group and people will post, like, sketches they got for, like, 200-300 from his site. And I'm just like, I'm going to save up. I'm going to get my girl a Wonder Girl. It's going to be framed. And then that's it, And, it's just, again, like your con is just, again, like you meet the greats, you meet the up and comers, it's just really it's a terrific place to go,
terrific con, imagine that. Yeah.
Boom. Wonderful.
Yeah. No, it's great to see when the kids come by with their when they come to the Artist Alley and they have their own books or they're trying out to get a job. And we had Marvel do a portfolio review. I think it was 2018 or it was 2018. And CB Cebulski, who is the editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics, but he's also from Connecticut, and he was good friends with my friend Dan Yance, who passed away. and CB came down and he did a portfolio review, and I think they picked 3 up and coming artists out of the stack. They had a stack of portfolios, and the guy he was going through every one of them and making notes and giving advice and such. But 3 of them, I'm pretty sure they got to the next level, which I think they give you a tryout or inking or whatever it is. But that was something that I remember my wife telling the kids when they came to get their portfolios that, oh, there's a letter inside from Marvel that they want to see you on Monday or call you on Monday. And we were like, if you become famous, you better come back to Terrificon. Oh, yes, I will be back here. So I'm waiting to see the next breakthrough artist that, you know, sets records, and CGC has his autograph at $10,000. I'll be, that's the guy that was at my show. You owe me, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Dear God.
It's fun. It's a good way to make $5.50 an hour. I mean, what else would I be doing? You know, washing cars, bussing tables. You know, I got nothing.
There you go.
It beats doing laminator catalogs, right, Leo?
Oh yeah, yeah. You did some great ones though. They they
were wacky.
Yeah, when I started there, you know, they showed off all the old catalogs. They keep them all, and you know, all the awards they won from the designs and everything. So
Catalog Age, yeah.
It was a, you know, great company. You know, it's well, they're still around. It's just
I know, but it was. I remember when I got to start doing them. I did the comic book covers and stuff, and they were like, "What is this?" And then sales started going up. They're like, "Whatever it is, keep doing more of it," because it was like the most boring office products books. Like, what were those Viking catalogs and staples? You know, that staplers and dry marker boards and, you know, laminators, projectors. Nobody cares about that crap. And then I was like, well, let's have fun with it. And we started doing comic book covers and cartoons, and people were like, what is this? And they'd open it up and read it, and let's buy it from that wacky company. Why not? You know? So, and then I was Lambo the Clown. So there you go. I mean, hey, I've been doing this for years, dressing up and making a fool of myself. It comes naturally.
Well, speaking of making a fool of yourself, I need to do the same. I have something silly that I do each episode. So talking about bringing ourselves back to the mindset of when the comic came out. Since this is only 2014, we don't have to travel that far back.
True story.
But if you're a friend of you know, the Golden Girls, I'm channeling my inner Sofia. Picture Sicily, 2014. Barack Obama was president. The San Francisco Giants take home their 3rd World Series title in 5 years by beating the Kansas City Royals in an eventful 7 games. We paid an average ticket price of $8.17 to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America Winter Soldier, John Wick, X-Men Days of Future Past, Godzilla, and Amazing Spider-Man 2. On the boob tube, Leonard and Sheldon invade Skywalker Ranch in Big Bang Theory. Rick and the gang head to Terminus in Walking Dead. Lady Mary gets a haircut on Downton Abbey, and the Hound and Arya take on an entire inn of Lannister goons in Game of Thrones. If you're a kid in 2014, unfortunately, Saturday morning cartoons were not a thing, and we're sorry you missed out. But on a happy note, you met Mr. Meeseeks and Mr. Morty and Rick and Morty. Tina wooed a ghost in Bob's Burgers, and after the Battle of Zahir, Korra found Toph living among the muck and mud in The Legend of Korra. Gas cost $3.30 a gallon. We landed on the surface of a comet. Dr. Huxtable took a major fall from grace, and a goodbye way before its time with the loss of amazing Robin Williams, a true legend in his time. That's 2014. We're talking about Loki, Agent of Asgard, and this is written by Al Ewing, art by Lee Garbett, and cover price was $2.99 an issue. So old god, new trickster, kid Loki's all grown up, and the god of mischief is stronger, smarter, sexier, and just plain sneakier than ever before. As Asgardia's one main secret service, he's ready to lie, cheat, and steal, bluff, and snog his way through the twistiest, turniest, and most treacherous missions the All-Mother can throw at him, starting with a heart-stopping heist on Avengers Tower and death of Thor, and that's just the beginning. Would you like to know? This is Loki, True Believer. We're lying to you right now. Yeah. So, Drew, you brought this book to us. What do you love about it?
Well, first, I've met Al Ewing. He most recently, he's been doing Immortal Hulk and doing a great job, and I cannot recommend that more to everybody. But he also wrote one of their latest events with Marvel Empire. So, but I've met him before, and he's just a great. I believe he's a British writer, and he's got a fantastic sense of humor. And personally, I recommended this because we're going to get Loki soon. So I figured this was a nice book for people who aren't completely familiar with Loki. And this one picks up from Karen Gillian's Journey to the Mystery, which is also, again, its own great run of Loki. And you see Loki, as we've kind of never seen before, he's a teenager. He's, again, naturally a bit of a smart ass. It was nice seeing Loki kind of trying to change, but yet confronted with forces that essentially want him to continue the course. And, you have that whole thing of, can you fight and really change your future, or are you just doomed? Are you forever the trickster god, or can you be a different kind of trickster? And personally, I just enjoyed it. I thought it was well written. I also know Lee Garbett. I've met him as well. He did a lot of Batman. He did actually not a lot. He did some Batman during Grant Morrison's run, and the artwork is just great. I mean, literally, look at that. The first panel, he's already killing Thor. And again, I just thought it was a nice, easy read for people who enjoy the character. But even if you don't know Loki, this kind of fills you in, and you don't get lost in the continuity of Loki. Yeah.
Awesome. Our guest of honor, Mitch, what did you think of the book?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm old school. So I grew up with Loki when he used to just be doing the same thing month after month in those old Journey into Mystery and Thor books where it's like, look, All-Father Odin, Thor wants to hang out with Jane Foster and be with mortals. That's not a true god. So that got old really quick, the old Loki stories. I mean, if you read one, you read them all. So I was like, oh, all right, this is the new Loki, because I was unfamiliar with a lot of the modern day stuff. And so I jumped into it last night, and I was like, hey, okay, this is interesting. And you're right, he was this adventure character. I'm like, all right, he's going on a quest? What's going on here? And it's kind of like this humorous Indiana Jones take on a bad guy. It's kind of like the Adventures of Belloc. I'm going to do a reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like, you all know Indiana Jones is the hero and Belloc's the bad guy. But what if you told the story from his point of view, where he's trying to steal the Ark of the Covenant for his own thing, but Indiana Jones is the jerk and all the stuff. So that's what I kind of got the feeling when I was reading this, the little battle with the Avengers, and then he goes on and they show him fighting. They go back in the, what is it, Fanfare? The whole story about how the sword, it turned into the dragon. You learn the backstory of that stuff. And spoiler alert, then there's the other Loki that comes into play towards the end. So it was really interesting. I didn't know where they were going with it, so I was surprised as I'm turning the pages. I'm like, oh, I didn't see this coming at all, So it was really original. It was really well done, and it was so good. I went out and bought the company. No, I went and bought the digital download for $9 on Amazon, and now I've got the entire collection, I guess, that's coming out in a couple weeks or so. There's a huge trade of this Loki Agent of Asgard thing. So yeah, I mean, now I'm going to go on and read it. So thanks for the recommendation. You're never welcome. Read it before, and you're right. Al Ewing also does a great Guardians of the Galaxy series too. Oh yeah, which I'm reading. So yeah, it was nice to read some new stuff by one of my favorite new writers.
I recommended Mitch a comic.
You did, and I'm like, oh,
sweetness. Thank you, Rich. Moving up in the world.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So he writes for Screen Rant too, Mitch. If you're interested.
True story. Yep, one of those guys. Okay, cool. I'm talking too much. Leo, keep talking, please.
I thought this was interesting how they switched sort of instead of the All Father being Odin, we've got the All Mothers in this. So we're kind of trading the patriarchy for a matriarchy.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, as well as you guys have all said, the duplicitous of having this young Loki versus the old school Loki who plays a part in this storyline as well. And yeah, I thought it was a lot of sort of going back and forth, opposites, black and white, yin and yang. I felt a lot of that in this story.
Yeah, and the other thing what I liked is that when he was building his team, it had a somewhat a cinematic feel to it. Like, and it very much really to me felt like again, it's like how one of the best MCU films is Winter Soldier, but Winter Soldier is both a superhero film, but it could also essentially be a spy or political thriller, and it functions well on that regard. This to me was like it was a superhero, it was a Thor movie, but it was a heist movie.
Yeah.
You know,
what I was going to say, and he knows his history too, because like you said, Lorelai in it, it's a callback. And I'm like, hey, this is cool stuff. I haven't seen her since like the Walt Simonson run in the 80s. I remember her character showing up. So it's nice when these writers go back and it pays off. Like if you've been reading these things for 20, 30, 40 years, oh yeah, referring back and forth to things. So yeah, I like that part of it as well.
Absolutely. And for me, like the issue you have right here, you know, Loki on speed dating, like how ridiculous was that? And then you have this girl who she's a human lie detector. She literally, you know, and it's funny because like that's the kind of like, I'm sorry, like when I saw Verity, I was like, oh my God, I've seen that girl at a con. Like, I don't know if exactly that girl, but that no nonsense, like you try to use a sweet line, she's going to hand your face back to her.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it was her. You had Lorelai, who essentially blackmails to work with him.
Yep.
You have Sigurd, who's only there to get his sword back because Loki tricked him the first time around. And then you got Thor, who again, he's like, well, you did help me with that thing, so I owe you. So you got this great team. And again, you just don't realize that his all mothers are working with his future evil version to essentially screw him over.
Yeah.
And that to me was the most heartbreaking thing. That and the fact that he's still haunted by what he did to get where he is, the death of his younger self. So I think Al, just like what I'm seeing with his Guardians run, he's balancing his characters well. Nobody feels underdeveloped. Everybody feels they have a role to play. They play it well. They're developed. You can see them versus, you know, some characters are just background fodder to the main character. So yeah, that's how I saw it.
I'm sure the actual mythology are really cool too, like the dragon Fafnir, and the way Loki tricked Thor into killing the changeling brother. That's straight out of mythology. So he's really paying serious homage to the history of the actual Loki, not the Marvel Loki.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm probably seeing things right here, but it looks like he drew Loki for this one cover, like Travolta. Do you guys see it, or is it just me?
I can kind of see it a little.
Okay.
You know,
like I can see it in the
little
eyes.
bit.
Yeah, the eyebrows with the blue eyes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you swap the white suit for horns, I can totally see it. You know, like we're talking like young Travolta, Saturday Night Fever, Carrie. Travolta. Yeah. You know, not now. God, no.
No.
Not now.
No, he's got no hair now. Shaved his head.
Yep.
So I wasn't really I watched the movies and I never really read too much Avengers and Loki and Thor. But this year reading it, I definitely read it in, with Tom Hiddleston's voice in my head. But I absolutely loved it. It's definitely, the story was amazing. The artwork is excellent. I love in the beginning where, Thor wants to kill him and all of a sudden he can't pick up Mjolnir. This was a fun read. And, like Mitch, I'm going to go back and I'm going to read the other two books and see where this goes.
Now I got to ask a question. When they're writing these books now, because like I said, I'm old school stuff. Do you think like Al Ewing, does he get like a directive from Marvel, like, okay, make this appeal to folks that just saw the movies, that just know Loki from Tom Hiddleston, and such, because like I said, I enjoyed it because I saw old school stuff in there too. And Rich mentioned there's some actual Norse mythology stuff that's in there too. But I don't know if I'm the majority of the readers anymore. I can't think that I am at 54 years old. I think I'm probably like a niche group that might not even. You know what? Until you guys told me about this tonight, I never picked this book up. Not because I never saw it. I just kind of think sometimes I go, well, that book's not written for me. You know, that's going to appeal for like a younger crowd, like early 20s. They're not pitching it towards 50-year-old cranky old Mitch over here. You know. So, no, I'm just throwing it out there. What do you think when they write this stuff? When Donnie Cates, I mean, I should ask him that when I see him at my show. See, write this down. Do you think of the audience, or are you intending it to be read by just fans in general, or is there a particular group that has a vast knowledge of comic book history that you're trying to write to? You know,
I feel like there's definitely. I feel like when they do events, I feel like they have to coordinate because they always have their big crossovers. Like later on, Loki, 2 of issues are involved in Axis, which was that Marvel event where the heroes were inverted and the villains were good and the heroes were bad. So there is that crossover. So I feel like they have to know, or at least have an idea of what's happening, so they know to put them in there. I mean, and let's just be real here. They obviously have to show some influence to the cinematic universe because that's where a lot of their audience they're also getting. I mean, think of it. Anytime you see a new Marvel movie coming out, there is immediately a series. Like you saw
that's not by accident.
That's not by accident. They're capitalizing. I mean, think of it. No. Like Mitch, you remember when Guardians was just the team in the 70s or 60s with Yondu, and then they bring it up. And even before, like when they're doing Annihilation Wave, when you still had the Guardians, everyone, we nerds were like, oh yeah, the Guardians are great. People are like, who the fuck is that? And then the movie, everybody knows who Groot is. Everybody knows who Star-Lord is.
Well, no, I mean, when I heard that Guardians is a great example because I went back to the 90s version, the Jim Valentino books, and I'm like, wait a minute. That Starhawk and Captain Vance, with the guy with the Captain America shield, I was like, okay, but I didn't really read all the newer Annihilation stuff. I mean, I knew they redid Drax the Destroyer with Keith Giffen and Mitch Brightwise. I knew they changed the look of them, but I remember Dumb Drax from the Jim Starlin books, the big dumb Hulk looking kind of guy. So I was like, what is going on here? The same thing when you just talked about when they did the last big Marvel event. You go, they're making this so it's a jump on point for people that are just like maybe teenagers that just are familiar with the Avengers movies and such like that. They're not going old school. But I got to say, Immortal Hulk makes so many references to like 30, 40 years of Hulk history, even the beginning of the Incredible Hulk. There's callbacks to like issues 1 and 2. So it's like really deep cuts for that series. I mean, all credit to Al Ewing. I don't know if they just go through a stack of comic books before they get the writing assignment and make copious notes, like make sure you refer to this character or that character is going to be a big point. I mean, there's a lot of real rich details in some of these stories that you might not see. Same thing with the Marvel movies. There's mentions of characters that, I mean, if you don't know it, it doesn't affect the viewing, but if you know who Scott Lang is and all the little details that they put in there, like Easter eggs, to old school folks, like I know who he's talking about. That reference they just said is from issue 122 or whatever, So it's a lot going on there.
And you got it open right there, Leo. We haven't seen Mephisto. At least I haven't. Certainly in a long time. I know they certainly teased it for a certain TV show, Wanda and Vision. But it was nice to see him in a modern comic. I don't think I've seen him since like he doomed Spider-Man's wedding.
Yeah, brand new day. That's true.
Oh god, yeah, he still pops up. Like I remember, like in one of the most recent Spider-Man issues, he shows up. And of course, he's talking to Doctor Strange about Spider-Man because I was like, yeah, we can't give this guy a break. Let's just bring him back to the devil. Thanks. No, but I agree with you. Having read a lot of Al's work and having met him, he just does such a good job with research, and it really does show because like sometimes there's some books where you can kind of get away with a very straightforward story that, but sometimes you, especially if you're talking about people who are scientists and geniuses and whatnot, you need to know like that extra detail and research, and it's funny because I always think of Bendis when I think of research, because sometimes his stuff with with his Marvel scientists and whatnot, like he really goes in to details, and you like look it up. I'm like, wow, that's like legit. And you're thinking like, do I really need to know this? But I'm like, you don't, but the character does.
Right.
And that realism grounds it. And again, it's for this, it's Loki. Like this was like what we're looking at right here. Like this was a Twilight Zone reference.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then even in the I think it's in what he's watching, that's the Shatner episode of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And like a little mini detail and a mini detail. And I was just like, yes, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like what a great way to start the book, because it's like in publishing, they always say if your story starts on page 4, no one's going to read it.
Yeah.
And some comics, and this is one of my criticisms, they just take such long time with build up versus I feel like older books, which they made the most of the action. You just went right in versus we got a lot of talking heads. We got to get the details. I'm like, let's just get to it. You can do the info dump later.
It's so funny that image you just had up there, Loki falling out of the airplane. I've already seen in the trailer for the Loki TV show.
Oh,
so they're picking up visuals right from the books because they they know somebody out there is a fan of this Loki Agent of Asgard. They're going to watch the Loki spinoff show. So we'll put that in there just for that kid. And, hey, look, that's the shot. That's the splash page. I remember that. So, yeah. I mean, you got to give it up for Marvel. The movie folks, the comic book folks, I mean, maybe that's why they're more successful than DC, because they do so much layering with all these properties to make sure that they work on so many different levels and you can appreciate it for all the richness that's in there,
And it's so funny you bring that up, Mitch, because I feel like that's the same way with DC films. Like I feel like their more successful ones had obvious references, like Aquaman referenced the New 52, Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis. You had the trench. You had
that was the best part of the movie, actually.
And then
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Drew. I apologize.
No. No. I was pretty much saying you saw the same thing with Wonder Woman, that they combined the classic with the New 52, her being a demigoddess, and it was again, those are the stronger ones. It was ones where you take some creative liberties, and you kind of make your characters a little bit of a joke. I'm not going to go there because then we really don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I think we know which director I'm talking about, but I'm not going to go there. Rich, you can pick me.
No, I was just saying, I was just playing off the back of what you guys were talking about with the Marvel and the DC and keeping everything cohesive. I just thought it was interesting recently, Mitch, I think you might have even posted, where James Gunn gave sort of a nod to who we've interviewed also, Paul Kupperberg.
Oh, yeah.
Because, he was responsible for Doom Patrol and a lot of the characters that are in the new James Gunn movie. Peacemaker.
Yep.
He's responsible for Vigilante.
Yep.
And I think you made a joke. We're gonna have to get Paul some security.
Yeah, he's gonna get for the lines of people that'll be clamoring for his autograph now. So.
But the difference is James now has been the director on both Marvel and DC movies. So maybe he's taking some of that away from Marvel and bringing it to DC.
Maybe he is. And no, I think he even said I don't remember this, but he said there was something about the Suicide Squad movie that he said he got a lot of it. I guess there was a series where the Doom Patrol crossed over with the Suicide Squad. I don't remember the series, but that was a Paul Kupperberg story. So I'm like, wow. And Paul was like, hey, I thought of this. And he even calls him out. I mean, it's so fun to see James Gunn, do the at or the hashtag or whatever the hell it is to Kupperberg. And I'm like, oh, that's our Paul. That's, Paul up the street that I go get hot dogs that I'm having lunch with next week at the diner to record a podcast with. But I'm like, it's like you said, it's fun to see all this old school stuff that we grew up with being relevant once again, So
yeah. Actually, I did have one question. So Mitch, when you see, like, how does it feel when you, because you know these people, but you know the when you see combo creators in their own movie, like, for instance, when you saw Jim Starlin in the support group in Avengers Endgame, or I'm trying to think of other
what's his name's John Ostrander's in Suicide Squad. He's the doctor,
right? And
putting
then
the needle in Michael Rooker's. He's putting the bomb in the neck, and it'll blow his head up, you know, if he does something wrong. So,
right,
yeah.
Or even like Chris Claremont in the committee for Days of Future Past. Like, you see these, like, are you like us when we notice them? Like, oh my god! And then people are like, shut the hell up! We're watching the movie. Like, but you don't realize
how nerd it is we're watching the New Mutants during COVID. There wasn't many movies, but Jerry and I went out because I review movies for the radio station too up here. And as the credits are rolling, you know how they say special thanks to Bill Sienkiewicz, Chris Claremont, it said Bob McLeod. Now, I do all the graphics, like I said, for the show, so I know how to spell Bob McLeod's name. It's McLeod. And as it's going up, it says MAC. And I look at Jerry, and Jerry knows him too, obviously. And I said, oh my God, I've been spelling Bob's name wrong for years. He goes, what are you talking about? I go, when I do the announcements for Terrificon, I spell it McLeod. He goes, that's how you're supposed to spell it. I go, well, that says MAC. He goes, that's because they spelled it wrong. I go, oh my God. And here's this big budget $1 million production, and they can't even get the damn name right, you know? So I go home and I write a review, and I said, you know, the movie is what it is, but the biggest slap in the face is Bob McLeod, who's a fantastic artist who's been doing everything for years. You can't even spell his effing name right. And I posted it, and it got picked up by, I don't know, CBR or something, and Bob sees it, and Bob was like, what are you talking about? And then Claremont sees it, and Sienkiewicz sees it, and they're like, what the F, man? You had this New Mutants on the shelf for how many years? And you got one thing you had to get right. You had one job, and you couldn't spell one of the creators' names right who helped bring this thing to the screen, you know? And they fixed it now. If you go to watch it on HBO, it's been corrected, but it wasn't fixed there. That's what I'm saying. So these guys have become like friends of mine. So you get very protective of your friends. You're like, wait a second here, you. If you're going to use that guy's artwork in the movie, you better reference him and give him the credit that's due to him. So, yeah, it's. Let me tell you, at the end of every Marvel show, we freeze framed the special credits. It says, you know, special thanks to Jim Steranko or, you know, Herb Trimpe. And I'll call Ordway. I go, did you see that? He goes, yeah, that guy wrote. And we always try to figure out why this guy's name's there or this woman's name and what did they do for that episode. And it goes down there because it's like your friends are big time now. You know, all these guys you grew up reading, they're in Hollywood. This is the dream come true. They're TV movies and they're successful. They're making billions of dollars at the box office. And it's kind of, you know, nice to see that after all these years of hard work, these guys are finally getting the recognition that they so richly deserve. That's why it's important that they spell their damn names right. You know?
Yeah.
Well said. I know we ran a little bit past time. Was there anything else you guys wanted to cover before we wrap things up?
No, but we didn't do the ratings on Loki, so
I'm
gonna get 4.25 crowbars. Mitch, we do up to 5 crowbars.
Okay, that's one of your rating systems, Joker. You came up with that.
Yes, sir.
All right, I will give it a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for Loki.
True.
True. You know what? I'm gonna go with this hand. Which hand is it? Okay, hold on. At this screen, I'm going to go with him. I'm going 4 out of 5. So,
well, we're going to go 3 for 3 because I'm also going 4 out of 5. It's definitely a solid 4.
Sweet.
Okay, so what was yours, Rich?
Oh, I said 4.25.
Okay, so if we add it up, that's 16.25 out of 20. So if this was in school and you did it times 5, it would get like 84 or something. 80
B plus, B minus.
Yeah, something like that. I went to Catholic school. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, yeah, math. I did have one question before we go. So normally, again, after you go to a con, there's always the after con dinner. You decompress, you eat because you've never eaten the whole day because you're running around doing things. Obviously, Mitch, I'm sure you've had your after con dinners or drinks or whatnot. what was one of the craziest stories of something that happened at one of those dinners?
First off, you know how it ends? It ends on Sunday night, staying behind at the Expo Center, making sure everyone packs up and gets out of there, and they clean the place out for the next show that's coming in right away. So it ends with me eating a white clam pizza from Pepe's in the lobby by myself, like a loser. And you know, that's how every year they end that way. Or Sean Gunn yelling at me because I treated myself to a Ben and Jerry's Sunday, and I was all by myself eating it in the lobby. And he comes and goes, "Look at you!" What? He goes, "Come on, man, you're not helping yourself." I go, "I've had nothing to eat for 4 days, man. I deserve this Sunday. Get out of here, Gunn, you son of a bitch." So yeah, because he's skinny as a rail. If you know Sean Gunn, he is literally like 70 pounds. He's so thin, and I'm like Jabba the freaking Hutt, and I'm sitting there like a Gavone just eating this ice cream, and he's there like, "Look at you. Look at you. Have no pride in yourself." Has there ever been?
Oh my God.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's some of the artists that do partake in the liquid courage, and they get a hell of a good time going on Sunday nights before they have to go back. So I'll tell you that. Just hang around some of the lobbies, and you'll see it. The best after thing ever was me, Ming Chen from Comic Book Men, Michael Cho, the artist, and there's nothing open like at 3 or 4 in the morning, but there's this Asian restaurant called Fantasy or Fantasia, PHANTASI or something. It's on the other side of Mohegan Sun complex. I never even knew it existed. And I was like, "Oh, geez, you know, I'm hungry. There's nothing open, you know." And Steranko's walking around, and Steranko doesn't sleep. He's like, you know, like I don't know what's going on there. Guy's up at 5 in the morning, sleeps for 20 minutes upside down in a closet like a bat. I don't know. So he's there, and it's like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, we're trying to let's all go." So it's just one of those surreal moments when you're like, here's Ming Chen, there's Mike Cho, there's Jim Steranko. Actually, I felt pretty good because I was the tallest one out of everybody there, and I'm only 5'10". And we're all walking through the casino, and Steranko's dressed with the turtleneck and the double-breasted suit. It's like, "Hey, Daddy-O, let's go on." And it was like a scene from a poor man's version of Ocean's 11 with nerds as we're walking through the casino. The Rat Pack, yeah. It's like, "Hey, I'm cool, man." And that's probably the only little image I can see. It's not a great story, but it's just I'll always remember it being.
Oh no, that's hilarious.
Cool. It was cool. As Jim Steranko says, amigo. When he talks to you, it's always amigo. I'll get emails from him at 3 or 4 in the morning. "Hey, amigo, just thinking about you when I was outside wrestling a bear." You know, it's like, wow.
Legend random email.
He's crazy.
I remember that episode of Age of Chill.
So, Mitch, before we lose you, anyone you want to drop, any guests you want to drop that are be dropping this weekend, and it can only be heard?
Yeah, I haven't made his graphic yet. He just sent me his artwork. He's only going to be there on Saturday. He's coming down from up north because he's coming to go visit one of my other guests at the show. He just did the White Knight book. Sean Duncan Murphy. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah? Did I get his name right? Okay, I just want to make sure. Sometimes they get scrambled in my old head.
I think it's Duncan or Gordon Murphy. Either way.
Did I say
Sean Murphy? Yeah,
yeah, Sean Murphy. I know that part. I'm sorry if I said the name wrong. Yeah, he just did that Batman series last year, and they did a sequel to it, like White Knights and the Curse of the White Knight or something like that. He's coming down. And I better get his name right because I got to go to Photoshop after we're done, and I got to type his little thing up there.
It's Gordon Murphy. Sean Gordon Murphy.
Sean Gordon Murphy. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, he's coming.
Nice.
It's all good, man.
He's coming to the show. He'll be there on Saturday.
Splash Page is exclusive.
It is. It is. And Highlander's in the news again because they're going to remake that movie.
Yeah.
And is it a TV show or a movie? I don't know if they're going to redo both. But anyway. I've got Duncan MacLeod coming.
Nice.
That is Adrian Paul. So
cool.
That I finished. I
Nice.
did that graphic.
Awesome.
Made sure I got his name. So he'll be there Awesome. There's two. There's other people too, man. I mean,
Nice. Will they be doing sword play at all?
They will be. He's going to be teaching a class on Friday and Saturday. I got to find the room. He teaches you how to do stunt sword play. So
amazing.
No cutting people's heads off and making only one. That's in the movies. So that's a Highlander thing.
Damn it.
Awesome.
I know, right? So yeah.
Very cool. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for coming on. It was great as always to hear from you and get caught up and find out what's going on with Terrificon for this year.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I appreciated it. So
yeah, you're we love you, Mitch. So you're welcome here anytime.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You like me? You really like me? I'll do this thing.
We heart Mitch. Everyone, we heart Mitch. Everyone heart.
I'm getting
heart. He's verklempt.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, guys. Whatever. Get this over with. Will you? Freaking nerd. I got now angry comes out. Fucking jerks.
So
get off my lawn.
Where do you like?
Slam the door.
Look at that.
Where do you like your fans interacting with you?
Seriously? About 20 feet away. No, I don't know. They find me everywhere, dude. Let me just tell you this. Okay, listen. Coming from the heart. When I'm in line at a bakery buying my son a birthday cake, last week this happened, and I'm not wearing any Terrificon garb. I'm just in normal clothes, and I have my mask on, and I'm just checking out. And next thing you know, I might be getting one of those black and white cookies for myself because I tend to like the sugar. And, suddenly I hear, "Are you Mitch Hallock?" Yeah. "Oh my God, it is you. Can I get a picture with you?" I'm like, seriously? Come on, man. I'm doing my closet eating here. Leave me alone. But yeah, it gets a little weird at times. But anyway, I talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere. But if they want to get a hold of me, go on Facebook, Mitch Hallock, go to Terrificon.com, go to the Instagram, go to the It's Terrificon, what do you call that? Twitter. Everywhere. I'm on the radio every Friday morning on Chaz and AJ here in Connecticut at 5:30. No one's up that time but me. But you can find me any time of day. Ask me questions about guests. Ask me stories. I've got nothing better to do. I'll talk to you all night long, obviously. So that's it. I mean, if you really want to get a hold of me, you could do it. Rich knows that. I used to hang out at his bagel shop for hours.
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to go home.
I know. I miss being so close to you, Mitch, and being able to.
I know. It is. I mean, yeah. I guess if you don't want to be bored to death by a guy who has a pack of Howard the Duck trading cards,
Hey.
Call me anytime.
Severely underrated.
Don't call me, please. Don't call me because my phone number is the actual show number, which is dumb. I should have gotten two phones, but I didn't do that. So I'll get calls at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, which has happened.
Oh, wow.
And I was picking up my kid at a band practice, and the call came in. I'm like, "Hello, is this Terrificon?" Yeah. "Who's this?" "It's Mitch." "Oh my God, the guy that runs the show?" "Yeah." "Why are you answering the phone?" I go, "Because you called me." "But you're the guy." "Yeah, I'm the guy." And he started asking me questions about the show at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. You don't see New York Comic Con answering the phone. San Diego ain't going to be answering that phone at 11 o'clock.
You're famous, Mitch. Everyone wants a piece.
Yeah. Well, I'm big, so they could get a lot of me.
Everybody knows your name.
And they're always glad to me. I'm a rhinestone cowboy, getting letters and emails from people I don't even know. Whoa. That's it, Leo. You know that.
Oh, yeah. So we got a bunch of links in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. We urge you definitely check out Terrificon. It's the best con you'll go, absolutely my most favorite con. It's, yeah.
Look at that. Terrific. Like Star Wars. Look, it's like. Dun, 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 dun.
Throw your arms in the air. Wave them like you just don't care.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm good. I'm on Facebook. My name is Drew. I'm Drew and Drew Malo, Facebook and Instagram, Ghostbusterman 1984. I write for Screen Rant. You can just look me up, Drew Malo Screen Rant. Yeah, that's it. Find me. Talk.
Hey.
You know, I watch Screen Rant all the time. By the way.
Nice.
On YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I do. I'm obsessed with that stuff.
Yeah, and 30-year cosplayer here, Rich Davis on Facebook, Velvet Joker 2021 on Instagram. Great to talk to everyone tonight. Nice to see my boys, Drew and Leo, and of course, the awesome Mitch Hallock.
Awesome. And for me, just Google Leo Pond. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not, but I'm not going to say which is which. But more importantly, follow these awesome people. Follow
by the hand.
Go to Terrificon, and I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. Over 30 shows on the network. A lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. And with that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Peace out.
Later.